He said people get competition all wrong. They think competition is like a football game where you go out on the court, you go out on the field, you beat each other up, and then at the end there's a winner, there's a loser, right? He said that's not how competition works. Competition works by getting a niche in nature and then defending your niche and surviving, right? And then expanding. When I was in my 30s, going to conferences and seeing these guys in the 50s, and they were spending time fishing, and they were obviously relaxed. They were a little bit overweight. They were bald, and I was like, man, that looks like a great life. And now I'm in my 50s. I'm bald. I'm relaxed. I'm a little bit overweight. I go fishing a lot. And guess what? It's a great life. I was right. I was not wrong about that. People overestimate what they're going to do in a year, and they underestimate what they can do in 5 and 10. And so I've always had the ability to have a long view and look forward.
Hello, and welcome to our channel, The S Factor. In today's episode of Global Achievers, we have Michael Lynch. He's a very successful certified financial planner. And today he's going to be talking about how we can optimize our personal finances and our business finances in such a way that we don't have to worry about it in our later years. So stick around, we'll be right back. Hello, Michael. How are you today?
I am well, and how are you, Tart?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate your time today. So I think one of the first things that I would like to know is that when did you actually know that financial planning was the right field for you?
Last week, maybe. No, I'm just kidding. It's been a great field for me. So I started, financial planning is a field that is typically in the United States dominated by career changers. Okay. And there's some obvious reasons for this. One, people want a little experience. They used to say gray hair to take some advice. So I transitioned in this field at 32, which is still pretty young. And right off the bat, I knew it was a great career. I always said it was my third career, but it was going to be my last career because I knew it just combined everything that I loved. And you have freedom to do whatever within rules and guidelines that make a lot of sense. You have freedom to do whatever you want, which is just fantastic. And you do well by doing good. So you do well by doing good. And it's just been a great career. So almost right off the bat. And Tarek, I knew that because my entire life I'd had insomnia. It's off and on, right? But off and on I had insomnia. When I got into this career, I never, ever had it again. Just my mind was just always at ease, pretty much at ease. Yeah.
Awesome. Good to know. So you were once an on-site financial planner at the ESPN. How was your experience there?
Well, so the issue with that is we're contracts on the way in. So we teach at companies through, at that time, our back office was MetLife, and MetLife was a group benefits provider. And so we did the soup to nuts financial planning at ESPN. And it was a great time. And that's actually where I wrote my first book, The Simple and Big back there, was based on those presentations. I wrote that initially as a presentation that would be given to those type of employees. And then I turned it into a book. I ultimately never gave it to the employees for the copyright issues, but his book. So yes, it was great. The ironic thing is, and I guess it's appropriate, I'm not much of a sports person. So I wasn't a consumer of ESPN. I don't watch sports. I don't read about sports. I don't do sports. And also the way that we made the connection was really a good lesson. I work with this wonderful woman. Her name is Michelle Trieste. And, you got to imagine over the years, ESPN being a Connecticut company, growing from small to large. It was fantastic watching that. There'd probably been plenty of financial advisors knocking on the door to try to get in there. And the way that we did it was Michelle made a good connection, a woman-to-woman connection with HR person. And then she wanted somebody to come in and deliver the content with her. And so she brought me in to deliver the content. So that's how we got in there. And it was really nice. It was great to roam around the campus and teach the classes to the employees and get people retired and help young people out get started too. We did a lot of young people at ESPN.
Okay, perfect. When did you get started with Barnum?
So I got in this business. I'm 53 now, and I think I was 32 when I took my licenses. Actually, I'm 52. I turned 53 this year. Now I'm getting aged in. So it would have been 2003, I think. Might have been 2004. Right? It was 6 months at somewhere else where I knew I was getting my chops, getting training, and then I hopped over to Barnum, and I just saw it was just a wonderful place, and it has been a wonderful place. And at that time, again, it was affiliated with MetLife, no longer is. And the reason why I came was programs such as on-site financial planning at ESPN, right? That the opportunities there have just been fantastic. And also, I did a radio show for 10 years, and that was an opportunity that was also attached to the Barnum Financial Group. So it's been a wonderful home.
Okay, perfect. I believe last year the revenues were about 1.8 mil, and presently you got 6 employees working for you.
Sure, yeah.
Tell us about your success factors. What makes your company successful?
Well, again, so I contract in the Barnum, so I want to be clear about that. So the numbers you gave are mine, and then we're sort of, Barnum is a place where I hang my shingle, use their shingle. So Barnum itself is certainly a lot larger than that, but it's kind of like we work for us entrepreneurs that do this business. It's very much of a sort of boutique business, United States Financial Advisor. Okay, so with that proviso, what makes me successful? First, I think all professionals have to love what they do. Right? There's nothing more dangerous. When I was getting into business, I was a writer before, so I knew how to cold call people and talk to them and, interview them, find out. So I wanted to find out. I knew I love financial planning. I like doing it for myself. I like the rules, I like the IRAs, I like the employee benefits, I like the investing, I liked all of it. And I wanted to go help people do it. And so I called it, try to figure out the business, Is it Merrill Lynch or the wirehouses in those days? Is it insurance, this and that? And I actually had one person tell me you're never going to be successful. I said, why? He said, well, you don't want to make enough money. You're not money motivated. And I wasn't money motivated. That's not why I got into business at all. Because I told him what I wanted to earn. He's like, if you're any good, you'll earn way more than that. And it wasn't what drove me at all. But what he didn't understand is that I was passionate about the business itself. And that was the best way to get in. Because I got in, I was very good with financial planning myself. I didn't need a lot of income. I had a writing business I could do on the side to kind of pay the rent. And I was just able to get going. So one, I think being passionate about the business, not just wanting to make the money, right? If you want that's going to burn you out. Second, work ethic. I've always had a tremendous work ethic. And, I still do. And I'm oftentimes the last one in the office. I like what I do. I work a 50-hour week. That's what I try to track all my time. With windshield time, I want to work 50 hours a week. That's but in the old days, I was working more than that. But I knew I was working more, so I could get down like that. So serious work ethic, and then I think creativity, right? I read, so I read and I listen. Now read, listen, and watch, right? But what I don't do, people say, well, how do you get so much done? Well, I told you I don't do sports, so I don't spend any time on sports other than going to baseball games with my parents, do all the baseball parts because they love it and I love being with them and it's a good fun. And I don't follow the news. I spend zero time on politics. It doesn't matter. It doesn't help. It ain't going to affect it. It's just going to work you up. Read the Wall Street Journal. Read my Twitter page. Stay up with friends on Facebook. And then I write and I work and I meet with clients. So that's what I think. I think you got to, the other thing is people overestimate what they're going to do in a year and they underestimate what they can do in 5 and 10. And so I've always had the ability to have a long view and look forward. And I remember when I was in my 30s, going to conferences and seeing these guys in the 50s and they were spending time fishing and they were obviously relaxed. They were a little bit overweight. They were bald, And I was like, man, that looks like a great life. And now I'm in my 50s. I'm bald, I'm relaxed, I'm a little bit overweight, I go fishing a lot, and guess what? It's a great life. I was right. I was not wrong about that.
Awesome. One of the quick things that I would want to know, and I think a lot of people would be interested as well, is that in your opinion, who should pursue a career as a financial planner?
I think somebody that cares about people. Cares about people. Likes numbers but doesn't love numbers, can do numbers, can do analysis. You better be able to use a financial calculator, use an Excel spreadsheet. It's funny, I hold up an iPhone now for a financial calculator, but that's where it is these days, right? And somebody that is willing to do what it takes to be successful, right? That has a kind of Tom Friedman is a writer for the New York Times, or at least he was. Like I said, I read the Wall Street Journal, so I don't read the New York Times. So you might be there, may not. I don't really care. But I saw him interviewed. I think it was on 60 Minutes, and he said what it takes to be successful in this economy. And he said the attitude of an immigrant and the combined attitude of an immigrant and an artisan. And he says, here's what I mean. An immigrant comes here knowing that there's a lot of opportunity and nothing to be given to them. They work hard, right? And an artisan, in the old days when you were an artisan, you were so proud of your work, you stamped your name on it. You stamped your name on it, right? You stamped your name on it. And I think that's what it takes to be successful. And if you do that, literally one thing that does separate us is we give our clients written memos every year where we literally stamp our names on it. It's a personal memo, and that talks about it. And so, yeah, that's what I would say. Somebody, that's, I guess I'd answer that question that way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So when someone first starts out, say in their first couple of years in this space, what are some of the things that they must do in order to have a successful career?
Right. Tark, that's a fantastic question. And one of the things that's been frustrating in, I think, financial services, which financial planning is a big part of now, is that there hasn't been a great way to get started. And what I mean by that, for years, people got started the way I got started, which is get hired on, get your tests. And some of the tests are really hard, right? You got to study, take the test. If you don't pass the test, you're fired. You get a little bit of a draw. I got paid, I think, $600 a week for 13 weeks and nothing after that. And it's like, okay, work cold call, work the phones. You have to generate all your own leads to your business. Then you have to do all the work. And then you have to do it again. And it's like if people got going, the thing I would say is it was akin to somebody getting going in contracting by saying, okay, go buy your pickup truck, buy all your tools, go out, get all your contracts, right? Build the houses. Oh, and by the way, don't forget to collect the money, because if you don't collect the money, we're going to take it out of your pocket and you're going to hawk your truck. It'd be very difficult. And it's not quite that extreme, but that model is still there. And that model has it's a tough one, and those of us that succeed in that model, it's absolutely fantastic. But there is a lot of people who would otherwise could be great financial planners who don't succeed at that model. So what are other options? Well, the way that I always think is apprenticeship. When I got into the business, I tried to apprentice with somebody. And I think the person didn't want to pay me a salary. I wasn't even looking for a lot. And for me personally, I'm glad he didn't, because I'm way better off not being an apprentice. I was way better off. I'm an autodidact teaching myself, However, I have 6 employees. And, one of my employees, who's a great financial planner, certified financial planner, she started for me as my admin right out of college 16 years ago. And that's a great way to learn the business from the bottom up. I have another CFP, certified financial planner. He's getting it right now and getting his master's degree, running through my program, starting investments. So a very attractive way, I think, is to go get yourself hired on at a financial planning firm. And the way you do that is you network and get it done. And another way you could do it is the big firms now have financial planning. So you could go through, the name brands out there. I probably shouldn't say names, but you know who they are. And that can be a great way. Now you got a salary, you're learning the business. So, no matter what, you're going to pay your dues. And in general, the more risk you take, the more return you're going to get. And we all have different personalities. But for people who are analytical, and most financial planners should be analytical, we need to have a lot of confidence before we're confident in our recommendations. So you going and getting yourself trained, getting a lot of experience, I think is very helpful. And don't feel, there's nothing wrong with working for somebody else for a little bit to get it done.
Okay, perfect. So now we're going to be talking a bit about one of my favorite topics, which is personal finance versus business finance. As we know, with personal finance, typically you got to borrow the money you spend, as opposed to business finance where you actually have to make the money that you spend. So, in terms of setting goals, especially with the way things are right now, the economic situation and such, what are some of your recommendations in terms of managing personal finance?
Well, I had a mentor when I was a writer, and he actually was the CEO of a big investment firm. And if I'd known at the time what went on, I probably would have asked him for a job. But again, maybe I'm glad I did it. And he told me a couple different things. And one was, he said, people get competition all wrong. They think competition is like a football game where you go out on a court, you go out on a field, you beat each other up, and then at the end there's a winner, there's a loser, right? He said, that's not how competition works. Competition works by getting a niche in nature and then defending your niche and surviving, right? And then expanding. The other thing he said was, Mike, when I got in this business, he said, make it on service. He said, make it on service. And, so two of those insights were absolutely fantastic. So what I think is a key to success is to spend as much as possible on the things that mean the most to you, spend as little on the things that mean the least to you, and then understanding the difference between those. The second thing I'll say when you're starting out is to keep your expenses low. Keep your fixed expenses low because you can survive, you can thrive. And when we go through bad times, that's the strong get stronger and the weak get killed, right? That's just how it works. It's nature. And you want to be the one that survives and thrives, not the one that's getting an autopsy. So yes. And then as you progress, ironically, for a lot of my clients in retirement or close to retirement, because they have been so frugal, I try to get them to spend more money. Right? I try, but that comes later. Typically, to get going is to make sure that you are don't overspend, invest your money, save your money, and if we're talking about business, know your biggest return is probably on your human capital. So don't be scared to invest heavily in yourself and take big risks in yourself, but don't kid yourself either. Right. One of the things that will happen is somebody say, "Oh, you got to fake it to make it, buy custom suits, BMWs." You don't need any of that. I drove a Toyota Camry that was 10 years old until I was very successful. And then, now actually just bought a new Honda too. So I'm not a car person, but you don't need it. You don't necessarily need the trappings of wealth. And the final thing I'll say is, we know this, when you start doing finance, you'll understand this. People that look wealthy are oftentimes poor. People that look poor are oftentimes wealthy,
Right. A quick piece of advice may be helpful to younger people. They've started, they finished school, they started working, they might have some student loan debt and things like that. At that time, as you said, that you invest, you save. A lot of people, we are not financially educated as much, right? The schools are not teaching us to manage our money, mortgages, debt, any of these things, really. So the thing is that a lot of people are very unprepared when they come out of school, for example, right? So any piece of advice for the younger people on how to invest and how to save?
Yeah, I mean, actually, and this is a point. You can't give investment advice to like groups at a time, right? It doesn't work. Second, I have to have a disclaimer that I'm not giving investment advice here. And anything I say is, I don't know you personally. And, so with grain of salt, but I think there's so many tools out there for people now. The key is, it's an old formula for success. I talk about in my book. It's all about the income. Still really is a good formula. Get a good job, keep it, or build your skills, get revenues and sustain them, right? We can do it for the self-employed. Spend less than you earn, put that money in a safe place, and then live off the income. Don't touch your principal. So the question is, what's a safe and a good space? And in the old days, that was a bank account that paid 5%. Now bank accounts pay not 5%, although it's coming up again. And so since the 1980s, with the mutual fund revolution, and and I think all over the world now it's here. I don't know the Western world. I know it's in Canada. I know it's in the U.S. I know it's in Great Britain. Your people just starting out are likely going to have access to putting a portion of their money, investing it in the whole economy for very inexpensively, automatically. And that's just fantastic. The sooner you start that process, the better off you are. And then it's the future you. You know what I'm saying? So do the future you a favor and do that. And then don't worry about it. Like, so we get bad times like this, but you're in your 30s, 40s, 20s. What does it matter? You're not touching the money until your 60s or 70s. So, right? You can process it like that and keep moving on. Yeah.
So, Michael, one of the final things that I would like to know from you, and a lot of people do as well, is that how do you sort of build a financial system for yourself, which will see you through in your later years?
Tarek, that's a great question. So first you start where you are, but you look forward to where you want to be. Okay. All great things in life get built twice. This comes from Stephen Covey in The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. First, in the mind, they've designed, and then in reality, they're actually created and built. And that's a hard part, but you have the vision. So you do that, you get started. And one thing that we like to say is you save 10%, right? If you always pay yourself future you 10% out of your current you's income, your future you will probably be very good. If you can do 20%, it'd be absolutely fantastic. Second, you want to look forward and say, what bad things could happen? Could I get hurt? Could I get sick? And if so, that disrupted our income streams, what would I need to have coming in the household, or my household, my family's household, so the people I love and care about are okay, right? So you got to take a little bit of money and typically put it to the protection side, disability insurance, life insurance. Depending, if you're a self-employed entrepreneur, you have to do it yourself. If you work for somebody else, oftentimes you can use the beneficiaries. And then you really want to look at the resources that are available to you. Like I said, through the tax code, through any employers, where do you invest and what are the best places for you to build up those piles of money that will then turn into income streams for you. And again, you start where you are. If you know, my latest book, it's all about the income. It supposes somebody's done this and now they're getting ready to turn this money into income. My first book, Keep It Simple, Make It Big, talked about how you put all these pieces into play. And my next one's going to be exactly on this. Don't blow your 20s and 30s, and you're going to have serious wealth in your sort of 50s and 60s. So get going. Doesn't have to be that difficult. Doesn't have to take that much time, but you do want to be mindful about it and be intentional.
Okay, awesome. That's great advice. Thank you so much for your time today, Michael. If people wanted to find you, where would they look?
So best place to get me is on my website, simpleandbig.com. So www.simpleandbig.com. That has the writing that I do. It has a book, my 2 books, and some videos. So hopefully it'll be a good place to go.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for your time again, Michael. I really appreciate that. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you for having me, Tarek. I appreciate it. And I wish you the best too.
Thanks for watching. We really appreciate that. If you like what you saw, then give us a like. We come out with similar videos like this every week. So if you like the content, then subscribe to the channel. And finally, if there's a type of professional or business owner you want featured on a future episode, then let us know in the comment box below. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one.